What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode. This is episode number 27. We're starting today's episode off on the back of our opening day victory over Leeds by 3-0. With this, a bid for Nico Williams from Mikel Arteta's Arsenal, which I thought was quite realistic to be fair. You know, Arsenal this season, Ben White has been filling in at right back and doing a tremendous job as well. Gotta give the former Brighton defender some credit for how well he's done in that position this season. But, whilst I did say with the transfer policy being announced to us a couple of episodes ago, that we wouldn't stand in our star players' way if big bids came in from big clubs. We sold Livramento to Barcelona, we sold Ward-Prowse to Manchester United, Niakate has gone to the now Champions League winners Ajax as well. I was totally fine selling Nico Williams to Arsenal. I mean, reluctantly of course, but I was okay doing it if I've got the right bid. But Mikel Arteta was just giving me low ball offers, and I was thinking, mate, we're not a selling club. I know we sold Ward-Prowse. I know we sold Livramento. I know we sold Niakate, and I know we've just sold Gibbs White to Aston Villa. We're not a selling club. I mean, yeah, it might look that way on paper, but we're not, okay? Nico Williams this season, with Livramento going to the new camp, will probably be my starting right back. So if you're not going to give me a decent offer, you can go back to North London, mate. That's exactly what he did. He walked out after I asked for 16 million plus Niakate, which really, I thought was fair. I thought was more than fair for a 23-year-old right back that came out of Liverpool Academy, that's proving himself here. Last year went on loan to Everton, did quite well. I thought, to me, that was a fair bid. Mikel Arteta had different ideas of what he thought Nico Williams was worth, so I thought, sod it. Instead, what I'll do is offer Nico Williams a new contract. He agreed it, and Williams will be staying. One player that won't be staying, though, is Dale Fry. As you can see, finally we got a bid, which I thought was quite realistic for the English centre-half. Signed from the Borough back in Season 1, way back at the start of the save, but Dale never really locked down a first team place, and whilst we started off with an abundance of centre halves and he wasn't too bad in the game time he got, he never really kicked on. In his mid-20s now, 86, he was 86 overall, he's saying 76 overall, and I'm okay letting him go. Jesse Marsh put in a bid for Dale, trying to strengthen their back line, and we put three past them on the opening day, so they were like, right, we need a new centre-half, we'll take one from Nottingham Forest. So for 8.25 mil, I'll take that for Dale Fry. Nice little profit after we signed him from the Borough, and he is off to Ellen Road. Still, first game of today's episode, Manchester United away at Old Trafford, and heading into this game, opening day victory was a 3-0 at home to Leeds, but here at Old Trafford, well, worst possible start, but you know, last season, towards the back end of the campaign, there was an episode where I talked about the patch and how I was mentioning how I was frustrated with it. But the one thing I've said in EA's defence this year, the one gameplay change I've really liked is how the bigger teams, the better teams, and the teams that are known to having presses at times, Liverpool, Manchester City, that are so intense, can really put you under pressure. And here away at Old Trafford, you know, I've mentioned it a few times now and I'll say it again. High presses feel so much more intense than before. When back in the day, I say back in the day, last year, in FIFA 22, you know, you could go away to, again, an Etihad or an Anfield and a Stamford Bridge and pass out from the back like your prime Barcelona. But now, you really feel the pressure. Like, you really feel the pressure away from home at a big stadium against a better team when you are an underdog, and you give the ball away quite frequently on a high press. Exactly what we did for the first goal. Misplaced pass with Dean Henderson. Felt he was back at Old Trafford as a Man United player. Nope, gave it straight to Marcus Rashford, made it 1-0, and they should have gone 2-0 up as well. Once again, gave the ball away deep in my own half with Joe Worrell. Thankfully, Manchester United did not capitalise. The first goal was my error, no doubt about it, but the second goal, nothing I could do about it. It was coming, and it did come as well. Manchester United passing the ball around. Like, if you play career mode, you'll know what I'm talking about here. When the AI are playing those rapid passes in and around the edge of your area, you know you're in trouble, and we were there. Pass deflected off Fred. Manchester United get it back. Quick little ball free to Anthony, and the former Ajax winger makes it 2-0. I tightened up after that, I'll be honest here. The final half an hour, I wasn't as exposed as I was in the first 55 minutes, but by that point, the damage had already been done. The Red Devils are 2-0 up. Really, could have won this game by more had their finishing been better. In the end, whilst Tony bags a consolation goal for his third in 2 games to start the season off, well, I said it best here. We were always chasing a game, and quite frankly, never looked like claiming anything. So 2-1 the final score, the Red Devils with the win. So on the back of that loss there, Dale Fry has gone to Ellen Road. I thought, right, I need a new centre-half. Senesi was my player of the season last year, but I've sold his partner to the Champions League winners Ajax. I need a new, better defender to come in and replace Joe Worrell, who, like I've said before, might be club captain, but I'm not overly convinced by in our back line, especially now we're in Europe, and I thought, let's make a big marquee signing. We've got the money. We've got plenty of cash. Let's make a big new signing as a statement of intent. And after moving on from Arsenal to Bayer Leverkusen, hasn't settled in the Bundesliga. Only 1 year left in his contract. And I said to Bayer, if he wants to come back to England, we will take him. And for £40 million. I've never signed him before, and I'm really excited to use him. Welcome to the City Ground. Big marquee signing. William Saliba. Yes, he is in. And I have to say, his loan spells have really paid off at Arsenal. He had those loan spells and he did quite well with St Etienne and Marseille. Now he's come back to the Emirates Stadium. Whilst I do think the chart needs a bit of work, Arsenal fans, I'm not going to lie. He's a great young defender and he's proved himself early to start this season off as one of the better defenders in the Premier League this year. And, since moving on to Bayer Leverkusen in this save, he left in season 1, but he didn't sign a long-term contract at the Bayer Arena. As we know, this season, to start the campaign off with Arsenal's good beginning, he moved on to Bayer Leverkusen, but I thought personally, he could be back in the Premier League. It could be back for a European team in the Premier League, and that's us. So with 1 year left on his deal, I thought, why not go in for him? I've never used him before. I never signed him before, I should say, and I'm really excited to have him for the first time. William Saliba is in at Nottingham Forest. Statement of intent here at the City Ground for £40 million. He returns to the Premier League, and he'll be in the Europa League this year. And joining him will be a Nottingham Forest Academy graduate. Yeah, what on earth happened here? What happened with him and Steven Gerrard? I want to be a fly on the wall in the office of Steven Gerrard at the end of last season. Why was Matty Cash not given a new contract? I do not know, but Gerrard let him go on a free, and I said, well, he might have moved on to Villa Park, but I'm going to take him back to the City Ground. Yep, came through the Nottingham Forest Academy. He now represents Poland on the international stage. I think it's his mum who's Polish, and Matty Cash is back at the City Ground, and what a steal. And it's so funny because, I talk about it all the time. When you are starting a new season in career mode, regardless of how big your club is, regardless of how good your team is, always check the free agents pool, because nowadays you might see a star or two that's been released. Matty Cash, prime of his career, 27 years old, and he's in on a free transfer. And for the Europa League group stage, Forest have got Yep, there we are. Group H, Celtic, FC Midtjylland, and Bordeaux as well. Now that is a really, really, really interesting group. That is one of those wild, unpredictable groups that you don't really know where you might finish. Now, you might get shocked and go out of that group. FC Midtjylland have spent quite a bit of time playing against English teams and done all right. Bordeaux, the French side, back on the rise, and Celtic in the Champions League this season, of course, as well. That's an interesting group because I definitely think we should be targeting getting through it. The Bordeaux have reached a quarter-final this year. It's our first season in Europe, of course, so of course it's going to be unprecedented territory for us this year. But that's one of those groups where you look at it and you think, I tell you what, going away from home, Celtic Park, FC Midtjylland, Bordeaux in France, those could be tricky ties there, especially away from home. Going through is the minimum expectation, but those are definitely teams where you could say they are potential banana peels, especially away from home. Still, Group H, Celtic, Midtjylland and Bordeaux as well. And so to end today's episode off, I'll make my third signing of the episode. And I've got to say, I'm excited for this guy. Lincoln, Brazilian youth international, now at Fenerbahce. Don't know much about him, never used him before, but I'm very excited to have him in on a valuation deal from the Turkish Super League side. Lincoln signs for what I think could be an absolute steal. He's in the prime of his career right now, just 25 years old, 81 rated, but the question is, where do we play this guy? Through the middle or on the wing? Against Manchester United, we had very little creativity. The only way we scored through Tony late on was a deflection that allowed Tony to go through one-on-one after a stand tackle. He could definitely play through the middle, no doubt about it. That's where his listed position is. But I think with a good crossing, decent passing, very good vision, an okay pace with dribbling, and not a bad finish on him as well, with that left foot too and 4-star skills, I think personally we might get the best out of him on that right hand side with that left foot. Again, high medium work rates, decent pace, not a bad finish whatsoever, and a great dribbler of the ball as well. I have to say, at the moment, I'm looking at my 4-2-3-1 and thinking, I do want to stick with the system for a while and try and get some continuous games in a row with this system and try and familiarise myself with it as much as possible. But I'm just not sure about that midfield right now. It's quality. It's really, really good, but I just don't know how to fit the players in. Van der Beek, Fred, Curtis Jones, Brennan Johnson, and now Lincoln as well. The question is, whilst I think all of these players should be starting, where do they play in the system? But Lincoln is in, I think, a really good deal there from Fenerbahce. We've got around 18 million left. The question is, with deadline day right around the corner, will we keep our cash for January or make one final signing? Well, that will end today's episode of Career Mode, guys. Big thank you for watching. Hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then please do drop a like. Most of you all have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of Career Mode very soon.